what are the things that you would do differently, or maybe what are the things that you certainly would keep doing as you are doing today?
Well, looking back, I think we can be proud of many of the things that we've accomplished to date. Obviously, not everything has been successful. There have been pains. There have been things that we've attempted that didn't work. But in retrospect, I think one thing that we would do differently if we were going to start over was spend more time up front helping more people, understand the true value of working together in an agile sense.
And how was that in the context of having distributed teams? You have a team at your workplace, and we have teams in Kiev. So how that function?
Well, not only do we have distributed teams, we have blended teams. So all of our teams consist of people in Amsterdam as well as in Kiev, working for Levi9. That's made it extra challenging in some areas. We had to pay more attention to the way in which team dynamics come to life within these teams. So that challenge has been there. I don't believe I would trade that in, though, because the benefits that we do see with regards to being flexible on both locations, as well as Kiev as in Amsterdam, I think far outweigh the downside.
And what was the main motivation to start implementing such a change?
I believe the main motivation is we had at the very beginning a core of people that were true believers in an agile workway. It wasn't the fancy pictures that we saw on posters anywhere. It was just our belief from inside that this was the way to go.
Because we talked today a lot about microservices and microservice architecture and how microservice architecture should change the organization. So how was, in your case, is that something that you started building microservice architecture and therefore changing the teams, or were actually other way around?
I think it was a combination of both, although we did take care not to project some sort of architecture on an existing structure. We adapted ourselves, the way we work, to the target architecture we had. But both concepts of moving to microservices as well as being more agile were on the table when we started.
And what would you say, what's the biggest challenge today you're facing?
To maintain the momentum we have and not get happy or complacent and think that we're there, because we're not.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Pavel, in your presentation you were talking about continuous delivery and microservice architecture world. So what you would say, because continuous delivery exists clearly before microservices as a term we used. So what are the challenges in continuous delivery and microservices?
I believe the biggest challenge is that people can bring their old practices to the new world of microservices. New world of microservices heavily depends on automation. You could live without automation before with a monolithic application. You could deploy services manually, you could test them manually, but you can no longer do it when you do it on scale, when you have dozens of microservices. You just have no way of dealing with those manually.
So what you're saying is that really prerequisites for microservices is actually implemented continuous delivery upfront.
I would really suggest doing this and doing this the first thing when you're moving towards microservices, because then you create a process for one service and it's immediately scaling for the rest of the services, regardless how many of them would you have. 10, 100, the process will be the same, but you need to think it upfront. You can't get it later.
Microservices are distributed systems by definition, and distributed systems by definition are more complex. So how you would say in the whole continuous delivery and deployment pipeline, how much more complex we are facing now with microservices than we probably had in the past with monolithic apps?
I think that the biggest challenge is testing, ensuring the quality of the product that we are delivering. And before we could rely on manual testing, we could just do testing as a separate process. I believe that when we're moving towards microservices world, we need to build the quality into the software development lifecycle, into how we are developing software. We need to ensure the quality on every commit. And this is the biggest challenge, because you need to think of the quality from a different perspective. It's not something you can throw in later. It's not something that somebody else will take care of. It's something that each team member need to be constantly conscious that they need to take care of.
Okay, thank you, Pavel.